understand.
They'll understand. My teenagers are just starting to understand.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, we should be
Yeah,
up in a
it's too
minute.
early.
Are we going
Hi,
just
so
live on
how
your
you-
page?
Are you guys excited about how the week's going so far? Are you feeling better this week than you did last week?
I am.
Absolutely.
The
Yeah.
mood changed almost immediately.
Mhm.
Vanessa, you could go. Do you want me to just throw this up on your page while I'm doing it?
You'll
Or
say it again.
it's on my page live and it's in Blue Wave Conversations. If you guys want to put it up on your pages.
All right.
I feel a lot less stressed out. I know that. Wait, how come it's, hold on.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on your page yet, Mary.
It should be there now. Are you seeing it?
Now I can.
Your personal page or the group
Yeah.
page?
It's
Oh,
on
there
my
it is. I
page
see
right
it.
now.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah,
And
I'm about to share.
You let me know if I have to tell my husband to like turn his music. He's playing a little Trini music.
You
That's
said
why I
it's
wear
on,
a headset.
you
'cause
said
I'm-
it's on your page, Mary?
it's not there. It's on the page right now. It's not in the group yet.
I don't have a beautiful headset like you do, Jamie.
Well, it's because I have 3 teenage sons who are downstairs yelling at whatever game they're playing.
Nice.
I have two 13-year-olds and a 15-year-old.
Okay.
Jamie,
okay, got it.
We're still supposed to come over to your place for the session, the training. Remember we talked about?
Yes, yes. I'll do it on a weekend when my boyfriend is here. Since he would,
Ooh.
because he is very good at that. He competes.
And Mary, if Kai asks for Miles one more time,
Huh?
I said if Kai asks for Miles one more time, like I'm
Is
not
he
gonna
asking for mine?
every day. Did you call Miles? Did you ask if Miles could? Miles is not coming over, Kai.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so sweet.
I told you he thought he was one of the siblings.
That's funny. That's funny. I am trying to get this in the group and I'm not sure why it's not doing it. Give me 1 second.
Oh, I see it.
It's there? Okay.
No, not in the group. I see it on your page.
Yeah, I see it on your page, but not in the group yet. And I'm looking at
Now it's in
both.
the group. It's in the group now.
Okay, cool. I'm having a problem getting it on the page, but that's all good. So, there we go. Hey, Buda, she's on. Miss Bibara, I should have had her on today.
You should. Bring her up.
We need to get her back. Maybe if you want to hop on, let me see if I could get her the link real quick. But before I do that, I just want to welcome everyone to our conversation today. I am Mary Hayes, and today we have, as usual, our dynamic team of Kimberly Newman, Vanessa Maddox, and Jamie Nettig. And we are here and excited because guess what? The one thing that's different this week than last week is what? Who wants to say it?
Bernie's here.
Bernie.
Oh, see, I was going to. We have a new president. I'm sorry.
We have a competent president.
And you guys did it. Y'all wrote postcards, you made phone calls, you did text messaging, you took a whole lot of crap from people on Facebook, you did it all. And now we have a turnaround and we have our what? First female. Come on, who's gonna finish the sentence? Y'all not excited.
Vice President.
There you go.
And we got the
Okay.
House and we've got the deciding vote in the Senate.
Absolutely.
And did you see how amazing it was when she swore in the Senate members this week?
Yes. Oh, she was like, that was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, she thought that was, yeah.
And,
It was
and
awesome.
I,
It was really great to see the past presidents. It was great to see Obama and Bush and Clinton and their wives and them actually liking each other and getting along. But
I think it's safe to say Bush really likes someone's wife. Not that we all don't adore Michelle, but he's like a rocket finding her.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they say he had that little, like throughout his life. That was the gossip on the street.
that was the word on the street.
That was the word on the street. He likes some chocolate in his coffee.
well, who doesn't? You know what I'm saying?
This is true. This is
Nothing
true.
wrong with a little chocolate. Nothing wrong with a little chocolate. So today I want to introduce also our guest who's going to talk about taxes and unemployment, and that's Angie Toney. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And we also have Bernie in the background. Say hello to the people, Bernie.
Hey, Bernie.
He's been all over the place. So, just so you guys know, the team really hates me today because I've been doing Bernie pictures all day today. So, I'm sorry.
I've been cracking up. They're comic relief. We need it. And there are people on Facebook who are just upset and, just livid that we're making light of Bernie, and Bernie already said he loved it. So shut up.
Yeah, and we're not making fun of Bernie. Bernie said he was just trying to stay warm. That's what he said.
Yeah,
Right.
and he actually took that image of him and put it on a sweatshirt, and it has sold out, and he's giving all the proceeds to the Meals on Wheels organization in Vermont. So he really took this and did something really awesome with it.
And people are not doing it to make fun of him. People really like Bernie Sanders. And I don't think anybody's doing it out of spite and meanness or anything like that. I think they just saw a moment and they seized it. And it's actually made people laugh again. It's made people have fun. I know I hadn't laughed all week, but I was having a ball today.
And the lady who made the gloves says she sold out. So apparently it must have been a small business who made the gloves that he wore. And she said she has no more left.
Yeah, she makes them out of repurposed sweaters. And then I think the fleece is actually recycled plastic.
That he wore.
Really?
And she said she has no more left.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all.
I read about that online.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wish I had the rundown for the outfits at the inaugural. We're just going to touch on that a little, real quick because we're girls and we like clothes. So I'm just going to say the coat game was tight.
I don't want that coat.
The coat game, everybody had on from the poet to Michelle to Laura to Clinton to Harris, Nancy. Everybody's coat game was tight.
So hold up. Jimmy Fallon made fun of Tom Hanks because he chose to just wear gloves and a suit. And he was laughing at it because he looked like he needed to be defrosted at the end of the game.
Even though he was cold.
He was cold.
He was cold. And it was nighttime too.
Mm-hmm. It was windy around here.
He was cold. But the highlight was that yellow coat and Michelle's coat.
Michelle, the purple.
Yeah. Michelle came in to shut it down.
Oh, and
That's
J-Lo. J-Lo looked nice
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
Forget. Her coat game was tight too.
Go ahead and say it. Gaga.
So J-Lo was dressed in head to toe Chanel. So she didn't come to play.
Mm-mm.
And,
She never does.
And the lady with the mittens that made Bernie's mittens, it wasn't a business. She just made them for her friends, and then found out, and then end up working with Bernie's daughter-in-law, and said, "Hey, would you please give Bernie these gloves?" And that was 2 years ago, and he's been wearing them, but nobody really noticed until the inauguration.
He looked like somebody's grandpa, just sitting there, just just go ahead and do your business. I'll just be back here watching. It just looks so endearing. I think the whole event was very endearing. And I think that was much needed because, you know, I think one of the reasons Trump got by with the things that he said is this whole element of people that celebrated his no holds bar, say what you mean, da 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 da, with complete disrespect to those that he was speaking to or the groups that he was speaking about. So it was nice to see such a welcome bipartisan embrace in the fact that Biden welcomed in his competition, you know, people who were running against him to be a part of the administration. Like, it's not about who's on base, it's about winning together. And so I love that vibe that he, that tone that he set. And Bernie just watching with his gloves, perfect.
Any highlights for you ladies? Any highlights that you thought, anything in particular that stood out?
Do I have to
Those
say
songs
it?
were inspirational. John Legend, Lady
I love
Gaga,
John.
all of them. Or even country music. I'm not a big country fan, but the country music was nice.
Garth Brooks left without singing Friends in Low Places. I feel cheated.
Yeah. Yeah.
He may have thought it was maybe not, you know, appropriate, you know, seeing as though we just got rid of some friends in low places,
Oh,
He was
dang.
not my friend.
some enemies
get
in
it.
low places.
I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed the performances. You know, I'm just seeing that, you know, we don't always have to go back to doing things that we used to. Some things that we're doing now are really working. And yeah, so that's all I got to say about that. So I want to jump in real quick because we've got a really important topic to cover. And I am just going to say that Vanessa, who is not only Loudoun's connector, but she is an expert recruiter. And I'm just going to say, if anybody out there is having issues with reinventing themselves or finding a job or need your, you know, you need to step your game up when it comes to your social media, that's the person you need to contact. So we're fortunate to have her as part of our team, obviously. And then we also have Angie Tony, who has her own business. She is a CPA and a PFS, and she will tell you what that is because it's a lot of letters for me and I don't want to mess it up. So would you like to just go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone real quick, Angie?
Yeah, sure. So I have a small business where I primarily focus on tax controversy, which are people already with a lot of tax problems because they didn't listen to these fine shows every week and get good information to manage their finances. As you can see, I have a pile of letters. They come every day from the IRS and or the state. I also do planning because once you get them straight, you got to get them the strategies that they were looking for in the first place to minimize their liability. So I'm a CPA, certified public accountant. We know that part, but the PFS is a personal financial specialist, which is a financial planner with a tax specialty. So I look to, again, minimize tax, increase cash flow, especially for small business owners. I'm also a CTC certified tax coach.
Awesome. So Vanessa, you want to go ahead and start that conversation because we need to start digging into that because I think it's really important and we may have some viewers on tonight that need to hear what's going on and how to get through this.
So, hi everybody, Vanessa Maddox, CEO of VR Maddox Consulting LLC. We specialize in recruiting and staffing for federal, state, local, and solo entrepreneurs and small to medium businesses. Jamie's going to help me with the actual numbers. I just wanted to start the show by talking about how to best be prepared for entry into the job market, or if you find yourself unceremoniously laid off due to COVID or other reasons. It just doesn't have to be about COVID. I want to give you 5 quick tips So please grab your pen and paper. And I'm going to give you 5 quick tips on how to best be prepared. Then Jamie's going to follow up with not so good numbers, folks. It's pretty bleak, but we're gonna help you through it. All right. So I'll start from 5 and go to 1. Tip number 5. Be sure that you have an active LinkedIn profile and presence. An active LinkedIn profile and presence. All right. You don't have to be fancy. Take your resume and copy and paste your resume content into the fields in LinkedIn. Add a nice professional LinkedIn profile photo of yourself. Please don't pay anyone to take your photo, your headshot. Don't do that. Dress from neck down. Men, preferably shirt and tie, suit jacket. Ladies, white crisp shirt or blouse, blue, navy blue, black blazer or professional top. Stand up against a white wall, have someone take your photo, head to shoulders, and plop that thing on your LinkedIn profile. Keep it simple. All right. Now, also keep in mind when you're dealing with LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a super duper robust platform. It's a lot going on in the background. If you don't know all of that stuff, don't worry. Just keep to the basics. All right. And ask people to give you recommendations. Those go a long way. Number 4, write yourself what I call a hit list of 10 companies that you would not mind working for, 1 through 10. And then go to each of their career pages and see if they're hiring the type of positions that you're interested in. If they are, contact someone like myself and ask us to give you direct introductions to either recruiters or hiring managers at the company you want to work for. Folks, I cannot impress upon you enough. You have got to be aggressive in this market. You've got to. And if you use these top 5 tools that I am giving you, tips, it'll happen for you. Okay. Top 10 hit list for the employers you're interested in. All right. Number 3, make you a second list. Top 5 people that know, like, and trust you. I call it the KLT factor. I'm about to trademark that. KLT, know, like, and trust. Who are the top 5 ride or dies in your life? Write their names down and then call them each up and say, hey, Jamie, I heard you're working down there at so-and-so company. I need you to help me get a job. You got to say it just like that. Don't beat around the bush. Don't be timid. Jamie, I know you're in a hiring position. What can you do to help me? And if Jamie KLTs you, if she knows, like, and trust you, she's going to help you. Okay? Build your hit list. Top 5 ride or die people in your life. Call them up, ask them to help you, and then follow up the phone calls with emails or text messages. Hold them accountable. All right. Number 2, make sure that you are treating your job hunt like a full-time job, because it is. Job hunting is a full-time job. Claim your unemployment. Send in those that unemployment request. Don't be like some of the people I talk to and tell me, I don't really need that little check every week, Vanessa. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You need that check because you need to be sustained and you need to sustain yourself and your family so you can buy food. All right. Get your unemployment and get it done. All right. What am I on? Number one? Number one of the top 5. And this is important. Please, please, please. Job hunting can be very stressful. It can wear you down. Take care of yourself throughout this process. Find some quiet time. Find some time to be at peace. Find some time to retreat to your quiet place. Pray, meditate, just sit in quietness and rejuvenate yourself. Take a long bath or a nice shower. Get you some of those shower bombs or those bath bombs. Whatever you can do to practice self-care while you're job hunting. All right. I hope you all got those. I will put them in the chat so that you can write them down and practice. Anyone that wants to review anything that I've said tonight, please hit me up. You know where to find me. You can find me through Mary. Okay. You can find me also Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Clubhouse, Lunch Club,
All of it.
LinkedIn. All right, but thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys so much. Reach out and ask people to help you. It's hard. It's not easy, but you can do it. Thank you.
So what about the women who have had to shift?
We're having trouble hearing you. Can you, is it your mic?
Me?
Yeah, you sound low.
I am?
All of a sudden.
Is that any better? Or am I still low?
A little bit.
Really? I don't know. I haven't done anything.
That sounded good.
Yeah, that was better right there.
That's odd. It might be my internet. But what do you say about all of the number of women, and this is to any of you, who had to during the pandemic make a shift? Either they had to make a shift and figure out what to do as far as gaining extra income because they had a loss in hours, or they had to completely shift or not work at all because they have small children at home.
So I'm glad you reminded me of that because I do want to remind everyone, particularly women who are being disproportionately affected by COVID and these dismal unemployment numbers. I'm not quite sure what to say in terms of guidance for women that are at home with the small kids, but you still need to work. Let me think about that for a second. But I will say this as a very important recommendation. Everybody needs a side hustle. Everybody needs a side hustle. Find something that you love doing and do that as another stream of income. It's very important.
Now, what if people feel bad? I don't want to cut you off, but I want to interject something right there, because some people think that because they have a job, they shouldn't have to have another job or a side hustle or something like that. I know for years having something on the side has been looked at as, something, I don't need to have a second job. I make enough on my first job. What do you say to that type of situation?
Well,
Because there are people out there, they'd rather
Well-
suffer than get a side hustle.
if there are people out there that don't feel they need a side hustle, that's fine. You're blessed. But
No, these
I'm
people need it.
I'm running into the 90 percentile who are suffering and who need. Okay. I don't think I've ever had anybody say to me, Vanessa, I don't need no side hustle. I'm good. I'm good at my day job, But guess what, people? There's no more loyalty in corporate America or any job. You can be let go for any reason, any time, any day, particularly if you're in the Commonwealth of Virginia at will state. All right. So don't get comfortable. Side hustle.
Can I add to that too?
That's what I would tell them. That's what I would say.
Because I know people who have said they know they need to do something else because they don't make enough, but they're so dedicated to their job because they want to be available if there's overtime, or they want to be this or that. I mean, I've spoken to people like this.
Well, the
And
only
so-
thing- sorry,
Mhm.
go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, a side hustle doesn't mean that you have to have a part-time job that you have to go to. There are plenty of reputable things that you can do at your home, in your home. You don't have to leave. So if people have that thought in mind that they don't need it, that's fine. I said they're blessed. Okay. But what about the other 90%?
Well, and I think Mary also hit on something really important that I want to speak to as a labor economist and workforce strategist. Staying at a job out of loyalty is not how people end up making more money. I would caveat this by saying, I am not suggesting that you quit your job during a global pandemic. This is the exception to where staying put, because layoffs are usually last in, first out, is a good plan. But in general, people who manage to make more money do it because they get at least 10% every time they cross the street. It's people who don't stay at employers, the same employer long term. Because think about what raises are at your employer. You're lucky if in most companies, 3%, 1%, 2%, 3%. High performers, maybe 6%. You can get 10% for crossing that street right away if you go to a new job. So just something to be thinking about. That said, during a pandemic is not the time to go look for a new job. But to that idea that we need to be loyal that Mary's talking about to your employer, they're not loyal to you. Your loyalty needs to be to your own career development and to your family and finding work that is meaningful and pays the bills.
Absolutely.
Stay in the job while you're starting the new business. And by the way, tax codes favor business owners. So it's the number one strategy out there to be self-employed anyway. So that's something that they need to be looking at. The only thing I would think to be careful with is non-compete clauses. If you're in such a profession, like for example, taxes, if you work for a tax firm doing taxes, they may not want you to compete by getting your own clients. That's the only thing. And there are a lot of options out there for working at home. You can get a state license. Those are relatively low cost businesses to start, like an insurance license. Some of them, while you're home, you can study, do a real estate license, do different things that's going to promise you something in the future that you build towards.
And that's what I did. And if anybody's interested, I can help walk you through getting your insurance license, because that's what I have. And I do that in addition to what I do during the day. But I do life insurance because it means so much to me because of what I have experienced in my life. So I want to help other people. So for me, it's a natural fit. So just try and find what makes you happy, or what brings in the cash flow, or something. I know a lot of people who started food businesses, and are making a killing because people don't want to cook. They don't want to go to the store, different things like that. So now's a really good time where if you are, where it's not really a good idea maybe to shift and move and change around on jobs because nothing is definite right now. But to really, it's a really great time right now to make yourself better, to position yourself better, to read, to research, to try to do things to make you more marketable when you go back out. You know, now's a great time to start reviewing your resume or, you know, going through your closet and seeing what you need and what you don't need as far as work clothes and interview wear is concerned. You know, read some books, you know, do some personal development stuff. Now's the time to do that. If you have an Amazon account, you know, get some books or watch some videos, or if you have Audible, get some audio books. Now's a really, really, really good time to work on personal development.
Yeah, I was gonna, it's just 2 points really quickly, and one to your point, Mary. Depending on what industry you're in, research the associations that manage or house that particular work. Because especially during COVID, they have been offering free certifications, free credentialing, free credits, so that you can, like you said, make yourself more marketable. So if it's an application or anything that you're needing to utilize in your particular profession, check out those companies, check out those associations, and see what they're offering to help people in the workforce become more marketable and increase their resumes. To the second point, and this is kind of a question both for, I hope you both, Angie and Vanessa, will speak to. So it's funny, we call it side hustle. I have had a side hustle since I was 16. I've never worked a salary position only. I always had something on the side or something that I was investing in since I was a teenager. That's just how I was. So I'm glad that now we're calling it an official name, because I just thought I was a crazy person and just left work. So speaking to that as an independent, especially during COVID and with all of the benefits that have come out in the last year, there's a lot of people that were not aware of the benefits that they're able to take advantage of, because again, they didn't have a title for what they were. Sole proprietors, independents, they just knew that they worked these contracts on the side of their salary position. But they do actually qualify as a business if they have registered for an EIN or they're using their Social Security number to contract for these companies. They do qualify under the independent contractor clause if they've worked 1099. So looking at things like the EIDL, the PPP, or the unemployment, the PUA, making sure that they know to go and how to manage that process to go in and register for all of these benefits. So I don't know who wants to answer, speak to that.
Was it a question though, or do you want to?
Yeah, just kind of delve into making sure that they understand, you know, the qualifications and how to appropriately attack it, and make sure that they are looking at all of their benefits.
So the bottom line is, whenever you earn income, the IRS wants to know how much you made, what you spent, and what can I get? That's what they care about. So a lot of people, let's say I'm an Avon lady or I sell Mary Kay. If I sell over a certain amount, Mary Kay is going to send me a 1099, as you mentioned. It's a tax form to show that I paid this independent contractor. And a lot of people be like, oh, this is a hobby, you know, it wasn't a real job, but it is. You're considered self-employed if you get one of those 1099s. And by the way, they changed it in 2020. It's a 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation. So that used to be box 7 on the 1099 miscellaneous. It's now box 1 on the NEC. So that goes on a Schedule C on your 1040. And you then get to deduct the mileage, you know, the supplies, whatever things that you spent to earn that money. And a lot of people, okay, let's say you take your Mary Kay a little bit more seriously. And now I'm just somebody, a professional consultant on makeup and skin, and you put an LLC on it. So if somebody puts makeup on their face and break out in hives and they want to sue you, you have this layer of protection around you. But if you're a single member, you're still considered for tax reasons or purposes as a sole proprietor. Same thing, Schedule C. unless you do something called S Corp, which is more complicated. That's my answer. Hope that helped.
Yeah. And so I don't know if you deal at all with, so one of the things I've been kind of helping, so in my world, I keep a roster of 1099s to manage these global events or manage these big projects. So I had about a 35 to 40 person roster of 1099s. So of course, when the business stopped, we had to find alternative places for them to work. I was able to migrate a lot of them over to a military contract, and we've had some more pop up since then. But a lot of them were not aware that they qualified for the PPP or the EIDL or the unemployment, because typically they didn't previously. But since they signed the stimulus and activated the PUA, they were able to go in and apply and get those benefits. But many of them didn't realize it till later on in the year. So just kind of making sure that people understand that those side hustles are companies, that you do qualify as a sole proprietor, as an independent. So take advantage of the resources.
And
Yes,
I
absolutely.
want to welcome really quick Yuda Barrage, and she is the Commonwealth attorney for Loudoun County. And we're so grateful to have her here. This is not her first time. We love when she comes because she always comes with the thunder, I like to say. She is straight, no chaser, and I love it. That's one of the things I really like about her, other than the work that she does for our county. So would you like to say hi to the people? I think I can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I got a new
He's
mic.
professional with the
What's
microphone.
it with the mic?
I'm trying to work. I just was setting it up. Maybe we just
She
had
got
it working. I was like, well, you could do that, but I can't drop it because it'll break. So we're gonna have to.
You got the fancy podcast mic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna follow your lead. I think I'm gonna start a show so we can have these community conversations on different topics. So you guys have.
You should.
I gotta try to figure out how to be hip.
I had a mic, I had to give it back because my software on my laptop wasn't matching the mic. So that meant I need to get a new computer, and we're not doing that yet.
It's awesome. But the conversation that you guys are talking about, I'm going to go to the liability. Coming from the lawyer, non-Commonwealth attorney side, that's exactly what you want to do. Is you want to always be able to protect what you have so that you don't have that open exposure and liability. So that if something goes wrong in any one of your interests, that it doesn't subject your entire financial world to doing that. But yeah, so I had texted earlier, Mary, I said, Angie, I need your direct phone number and I need your daggone email. I'm not even dealing with working with your assistant. I need the direct hotline. So whenever we get a chance, we're going to have to talk.
We'll make sure you get that.
Well, thank you.
We'll make sure you get that. You also posted in the chat that you guys are looking for attorneys.
So because of COVID and just a lot of need and growth in our office that we are in a position right now, we're looking for paralegals, experienced paralegals and trial attorneys. So I'm telling you, and they're great positions. They are also ones that will be able to help us do our job better for the community. So you'll do that double service. You get a paycheck and you're being serving our community. So
Does that count toward the federal student loan forgiveness programs? Do those jobs count toward those?
you know, the attorney one does. Nice play, Jamie. Way to segue that in there. Yes.
Well, that's good. If I hear anybody, I'll definitely send them that way. If anybody is watching, that is an awesome opportunity. Awesome opportunity.
Can you put the information where they can apply in the chat, or just let us know and we can put it in the chat?
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. No, but thank you guys for the opportunity. So I'm just going to listen on and get some wisdom from you.
I did want to share what Vanessa had asked me to share before I forget, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
As context for You are not alone if you are suffering in this pandemic financially. As of May, according to a survey from Statista, I don't know how you say it, 1/3 of people surveyed in the United States lost between 10 and 20% of their income over the previous 4 weeks. 1/3 of people. And what's interesting to me as I look at the data, our numbers are actually not dramatically different than the UK or Germany. The difference is our social safety net is not there. It just isn't. We are not, how far is the $600 really going to take somebody? So to that end, I did want to share that, when we looked at the data, I looked at some studies from Pew Research and from the Department of Labor, nearly half of US adults, of those with lower incomes, have had trouble actually paying their bills since the start of the pandemic. It isn't just that they're taking a hit, they can't pay their bills. 1/4 of US adults say they've had overall, and it's nearly half of lower income. 1/3 of US adults have dipped into their savings or retirement accounts just to make ends meet. So even when we're through this, they're going to be in a situation where, if you've taken a loan out against your 401k or your retirement account, depending, can have tax consequences. Your 401k, if it's a loan, you have to pay it back. 1 in 6 of us have had to borrow money from friends or family or gotten food from a food bank. And so the scariest part about some of this data is these experiences continue to be much more common among adults with lower income, those without a college degree, and regardless of income levels, also Black and Hispanic Americans. People most affected, young workers, particularly women, and workers with lower education attainments, part-time, where people, had a part-time job to get by. They had that side hustle, now they've lost it. And racial and ethnic minorities, of course, had much higher employment rates. And we have peaked. We look at the unemployment. But I want to be clear, Dr. Fauci has told us very, very clearly that we have not peaked in this pandemic. The pandemic is not over. However, we're hoping people are getting back to work. And the number one thing that you heard last 2 weeks you can do to help America get back to work is, if you are eligible, when you are eligible, get the vaccine. Protect America so we can get back to work. But the unemployment rate peaked at an unprecedented level, not seen since data collection started in 1948 in April, with 14.8%. And it has declined. As of December, it was only 6.7%. But every state, as of last April, including the District of Columbia, had unemployment rates greater than their highest unemployment rate since the Great Recession. So it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. We could quote the Backstreet Boys. That was probably one of the most embarrassingly white moments I've had on this show. And the areas that have been particularly hit have been areas where women tend to work. Leisure and hospitality industry experienced unemployment at a rate of 39.3% in April, before declining in December to 16.7%. So that's still really high. And these are jobs that tend to be more flexible for mothers, and we're really getting hit. And then the other thing to think about is we think about income equality in the United States, this is making it worse. Workers without a college degree experienced far worse unemployment rates. In April, it was 21.2% for those with no high school degree, and workers with the bachelor's degree or higher was 8.4%. So think about that. It's like a 50% increase, and the gap between the educated and uneducated continued at a similar rate through December. We also saw, teenagers were hit. If you just go through, the gap has been narrowing, but the big takeaways for us is women have been disproportionately hurt. 140,000 jobs lost in December. All of them were women. All of them. And then looking across the data, racial and ethnic minorities, as I said, were disproportionately represented in that data. Just for comparison, in April, it was 16.7 for Black workers compared to only 14.2 for white workers and 18.9% for Hispanic workers compared to 13.6 for non-Hispanic. So we are seeing institutionalized racism in our society hitting in the pocketbook, and a lot of the gains we have made as far as addressing areas of income inequality have not been addressed. So closing this out, in December, rates for Black Americans were at 9.9%, Asians were 5.9%, and whites were at only 6%. So there's really a lot of things that we need to do to address this. And one of the best things we can do is women need to support other women. And we need, particularly white feminists, I'm looking at you, intersectionality matters. And the other thing that I think that I will say, I want to give a shout out to President Biden. He did not get a COVID vaccine plan, but he's going to create one. The best way we can help speed up getting out of this pandemic, if you are eligible, when you are eligible, if you have concerns, watch the last 2 shows, get that COVID vaccine. That way we can get America back to work. Also, I want to personally thank President Biden for throwing out Schedule F, which was a terrible thing the previous president, Tupe Fiasco, did that would have converted everyone, some senior level government officials, to political appointees, and just struck at the heart of the integrity of the federal government. So if you look at what Biden's been doing, it's terrific. I think it's going to help us with a lot of our unemployment issues as well. That's my whole statistical analysis.
Jamie, question, is there a way to dig deep into that statistic to break down the effect on one parent household where the woman might be the one parent in comparison to 2 parent households and the loss of income? Because there's this whole other gap that I think we don't talk about, which is opportunity lost. So for instance, yes, they've lost income, but they're also potentially caring for children in the home and homeschooling. So if there is an opportunity for them to go out and recover some of that income, they're not always able to, because now they're playing a dual role. So there's a lot of other circumstantial factors that hinder the complete recovery of people that fall within that niche.
And there's some data on that. What they found is, to your point, there is that law. Again, this could push us back toward the 1950s with women. A McKinsey study came out, actually, that I didn't include the initial research, but when McKinsey looked at working mothers, in addition to absorbing a disproportionate amount of the housework to start with. So there's this idea of women's work intensity to begin with. So even if we're home, we're working. But mothers of children under age 10 who are in dual career couples are twice as likely as men to have in the same occupation to spend more than 5 additional hours on those responsibilities for COVID. And they're also more likely to leave the workforce. So 1 in 4 senior women has considered stepping out or slowing down their careers. And COVID is a big part of that. And it's more pronounced around the pressure this does put on single family households, which are sometimes, of course, also headed up by fathers. But we have seen a much harder impact on that. And the pressure is there to try to stay in the workforce if you have a child, but many don't have a choice. So that's another reason for us to be thinking about how we bring women back to the workforce. The other thing I'll say is we need to make sure we keep expanding on and extending the additional bump in unemployment benefits weekly if we want families to be able to stay afloat, particularly those families who only have 1 earner. I can pull up some more data on that, Kim, but that's just what I had at the top of my list. Did that answer the question?
Mm-hmm. That was a good insight. Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, and let me add one more thing for folks to consider. We're not speaking to you guys in a vacuum. We're not assuming that everyone has resources in order to get a side hustle or get a part-time job or do anything of that nature. That's not what we're saying. So I want you all to remember that in every major city and town and whatever, there are workforce offices available, okay? Speaking about Loudoun County, the Loudoun County Workforce Commission or Division, I can't remember the last word on that, but they are available with free job services and resources. In COVID, you have to go online and I believe make an appointment. I'm not sure if it's walk up anymore, but if you're in Loudoun County and you're unemployed, underemployed, changing careers, just been laid off, then Google and find out how you can get an appointment at the Loudoun County Workforce Center. If you don't know, get in touch with Mary. She'll get in touch with me and I'll be happy to direct you. But the services are there.
as well as services for, if you're starting a business. And I've run into a lot of people who have had businesses, and they were not able to take advantage of or get any assistance with their small businesses because their businesses weren't set up properly. That's another issue, and that's something that I'm really considering taking a look at, because particularly minority-owned businesses and small businesses, we have to remember that, like what we said in the beginning, having an LLC, getting your EIN number, getting your bank account, those things need to be in place when you're trying to get these loans or these grants or whatever it is that you're trying to get. You have to have these things in place, because you don't have the paperwork and the trail to follow up behind your business. You can't present yourself properly when it's time to fill out the application to get these loans. And then the other thing is, Angie, and I want you to speak to this, because there's different things that I'm hearing, so I don't want to speak wrong about any of it, but the small business loans, the PPE, the PPP, and the various different things that the government is issuing out, whether it's from the state, local, whatever, what needs to be paid back versus what is given to you to keep to maintain your business? I'm hearing some needs to be paid back and some does not. Can you speak to that? And what does that mean tax-wise?
Yeah, so it's a complicated answer, so I can't give it quickly.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the EIDL, part of it is a grant. A grant, it may be taxable depending on whether you're deducting current operating expenses from it, then you need to report it. If you're not going to deduct, it's just a grant, not taxable. On the PPP side, much more complicated. In fact, they're still questioning it. Every day it changes and it's annoying. And that's why I don't put myself out as a expert on it, because there's so many topics in accounting, right? But I do know in general, right? You apply for the PPP, but a certain percentage, a high percentage has to go towards payroll, rent, utilities, especially that payroll. And if you're going to keep people on the payroll, then it tends to be forgiven. The applications are out there now to apply for the forgiveness. Forgiveness means not taxable, again, depending on what you're deducting from, what you're using it for, right? And also you have to consider the credits the government offer you on payroll. You can't double dip, in other words. So you really do need to speak to a tax professional to make sure you're accounting for them properly. As Mary alluded to, you have to support them with paperwork. I myself got an EIDL loan, EIDL, and the case manager called me, well, where's your minutes to say that this, that you approved the loan? Your board of advisors, by the way, when you're a single member LLC, you might be the only advisor. So that's easy, right? But you have to do the paperwork. It seems almost dumb, but because it's like who you're talking to, and this is a piece of paper anybody could write, but you have to run your business like a business. It helps your credibility, etc. And so with all of these things in place, you should be fine.
Awesome. Thank you for doing the Cliff Note version on something you really can't do the Cliff Note version on. I knew that, but there's just, some people just really have, they don't know. And they need to know that, yes, some loans, some of those issues, some of those protective devices they have out there so people can save their businesses, I'll put it that way. They don't know that some need to be paid back versus some that don't. So just you saying, yeah, that's true. Some may need to be paid back and some don't. Will give if you're watching, please know what you have and do some digging now, because you don't want to get caught blindsided later.
I did have a question for Angie. So for individuals who didn't have that payroll tax, who took that withheld, that under the Trump administration, I've read various things saying that they're going to have to pay that tax back later. Maybe it'll be forgiven. Is that something people need to be doing any planning for right now if they did have that deduction? Or I guess they stopped withholding. I wasn't sure how it worked.
Correct. So, right. So, oh, you're talking about the individual, the W-2 people. So
Yeah.
not all employers participated in that. But if your employer did, yes, if they didn't withhold or whatever, they tried to give you a break, this is going to go on to the major topic that Mary wanted to cover tonight about unemployment, that you still owe the tax. So depending on when you file your return, what ends up being your taxable income, too bad if they didn't withhold as much, you're still going to owe the tax. Now, if you listen to a lot of colleagues out there, the big talking heads that are talking on the topic, they'll tell you that the IRS is full of a bag of forgiveness right now. So just stay in order. If you don't ask, you don't get. In other words, if it does come down that you do have a liability at the end because you didn't withhold properly, because you owe more than you thought you were going to owe, there are payment plans. A penalty might be abated, but you got to ask. Talk to a professional who knows how to handle these things, because there will be other ways that you can handle such a debt.
Angie, to that point, 2020 is going to be a disaster tax-wise. I mean, for everybody. I mean, there's so many different categories that we have dipped in and out of. And when we talk about your services, everybody's going to need a CPA at some point. So my question is, what are you doing to kind of get your services out to the masses? And, you know, are you doing any sort of lectures or symposiums or info sessions? Because I'm sure it's not going to be the ones and twosies for you this year. It's going to be, we need to bring a group of us to just sit down and learn.
Listen, last year's tax season never ended. It never, and I'm still swamped every day doing 2019 returns. There are people who tried to get the stimulus and accidentally or inadvertently filed a zero return. I have several of those, so I'm still doing amended returns on those. And right now, e-filing is closed. So either you patiently wait for e-filing to open for individuals going to be February 12th, or you're going to snail mail and sit around and wait and wait and wait. There are truckloads of envelopes sitting in the IRS warehouse waiting to be opened and processed. It is a nightmare. There are 15 million people in collections, taxpayers in collections. There's an additional 7 million out of compliance, meaning non-filers. So, and not enough professionals doing it. So now that we're talking about people needing jobs, I'm hiring. I actually had to put 2 professional, because I got a lot of admin help, but I need some thinkers. Maybe we have some retired EAs out there, CPAs, even, you don't even have to be credentialed to do a lot of this stuff. So I'm hoping to continue growing and be able to employ as well. It's a great skill too.
It's funny, I'm going with them.
So Angie, make sure you reach out to me because I need to be posting your jobs on hashtag get hired.
Okay.
People know, especially local Loudoun people, there's so many people looking for work. Okay. So don't keep these jobs a secret. Send them to me. I'll be glad to post them for you. The same with Yuta. I'm going to post hers before we get off this show. I'm going to post hers.
But I have to tell you, I was a little concerned hearing, and I don't know if it's by happenstance, these 2 individuals who are kind of like this, both hiring. So we have Angie, who's the tax account, the CPA, and then we have Buddha, who's the state's attorney, looking for paralegals. So I'm not quite sure how this conversation is.
Let me tell you too. All right, I'm a small business, so it's going to be harder for me, right? Because I have to kind of balance out everything. But to Mary was talking about this before when I was mentioning get a state license. An EA is an enrolled agent. You don't have to be a CPA, but an enrolled agent, it could take you less than 3 months to get that cert. It doesn't cost a lot, maybe $300 for the program. So if people who don't want their $600, that's something you can do with it. Take a course get licensed with your state or, something national or whatever. Taxes, I could be in Japan and do taxes. It's a virtual type of practice. I have older colleagues were brick and mortar who just had to shut their doors because they couldn't handle the virtual ability to do taxes. So I've inherited some of those. We're swamped. We just can't manage it. It's stressful.
What
And
is,
Say
what is,
two
what
things
is
though.
EA what does EA stand for
Yeah,
again?
that you don't mean executive assistant. So let's be clear, this does not mean executive assistant. This
No.
is,
this
What does
is
it
an
mean?
enrolled agent. It's an IRS designation. They register or, I guess, authorize people to work in front of the IRS, and then the states will recognize it as well. That means you can represent. That means that the taxpayer hire you to, oh, I got this notice in the mail, I owe $1,000. You can call up the IRS with a power of attorney and represent that client.
I also wanted to touch upon, I think there's something really important here, that there's an opportunity now in this pandemic for some of us to do some reskilling or upskilling and learn different career fields. Maybe you'll try it out and you won't like it, but we all need to be continuous learners. And the jobs of today, 40% of them are going to be obsolete in 20 years. And some of us may be retired in 20 years, but some of them are going to be obsolete well before then. So, if you have an opportunity now during this pandemic, if you're working with, your county workforce center, where they say, we can get you loans to go back to school, complete a good degree, get a different degree, become an EA, like you mentioned, try these different career fields. Now may be a unique time when people can do it. And you can often pursue a lot of different retraining and upskilling virtually from home now in this environment. So if you can manage your kids at home and do this around those hours, this might be the only time when you really have enough freedom at home, as much as you can be with 3 kids. I got 3 kids homeschooling, to be able to do that.
Let me open your mind a little bit to that too. And don't say, oh, taxes, numbers, oh my God. Same thing for insurance. If you look at the aspect, if you're a caring person, a helpful person, I'll give you an example. I had a client who used to work for a not-for-profit, and that not-for-profit double reported his W-2 to the IRS. And the IRS are stupid. They could clearly see it was double reported, but they can't do anything until you ask. It's such an easy fix. But this couple, they were both unemployed, but furloughed for the pandemic, have a newborn, and have no money coming in. So what do you do with them? Well, if somebody just took a quick letter to write to the employer to then do a 1099 with the IRS, boom. All of those refunds that they kept in the past, funneling back to him. Because you don't, and I helped somebody. This is what I'm saying, why you should open your mind and not just think about numbers.
Yep. Those are some wonderful suggestions. Thank you so much for putting that out there, that you're looking for people. Hopefully someone will see this and is looking for work, and they'll be able to talk to you more about how to become involved in that, and even with the attorney, and which you have to have, of course, you have to already be in that field, but at least there's an opportunity. There are things available, even in a pandemic, even in the state of unemployment that so many people find themselves in. Reinvent, that is what this is all about, is reinventing yourself. What is it that you could do? What is it that you could put your hands to make it work for you? Career switching, whatever it is, starting that business you always wanted to start. And I can't press in more than I've already done, but self and personal development is huge, 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 huge right now. And it's a perfect time, like Vanessa said earlier in the beginning of this. If you're unemployed and you're looking for work, take the time, get your social media stuff together. Now's a great time to start cleaning up your pages because employers are checking that. We didn't hit on that tonight, but employers are checking social media, and that's how they'll find out who you really are. And so, you know, get your LinkedIn page done. Remember what the tips that she gave in the beginning of this. You know, now's a great time. Take those 10 companies like she mentioned and write them down. Start researching those companies. I believe Kim mentioned something about that earlier. Also, research. They want to interview you. It's time to turn the tables. Interview the person who's interviewing you. Find out more about that company. Find out more about who they do business with. When you go to an interview, have questions to ask them. It shouldn't be a one-sided conversation where you're being drilled, but you're not firing back. And it's not doing it in a negative way, but let them know, hey, I did my homework on you. They like that. And if they don't like it, you might find out that that's not the place that you want to be anyway, because what you don't want to do is leave what you have for something that you don't know and then find out you didn't like it as much as you did the job that you left. So make sure it's really, really, really important that you do your homework.
Here's another tip, and I went through this a long time ago. So in another life, I worked at Bell Atlantic around the time they merged with GTE and became Verizon, and then 9/11 happened. And so shortly after 9/11, they started offering buyouts. And I was one of the first round of employees to take the buyout, which also included a change in career subsidy. So I used that to go back and get one of my degrees. And around that time, it was kind of like, not really a reinvention, but the degree that I originally went to Howard for didn't exist anymore because they closed the school. So instead of going for design, I went ahead and went for marketing. And during that time, you know, I was pregnant, becoming a mom, changing my career, and had this allotment. But I was able to go back. I went into my degree. I got all kinds of grants that helped to, you know, put me through while I was going to get the degree. And I did, you know, work study. So I selected a company that I, targeted. I wanted to work with them. So I went ahead and signed up and worked direct for them during that time. And although I had, you know, at that time, 10 years of experience, I was able to come in, meet everybody, create relationships, and then help to propel my career in a different direction. There are opportunities like that now, you know, single parents, you know, there's grants in that bracket. If you're under a certain income, there's grants in that bracket. Go to a university or a community college and take advantage of those opportunities. But at the same time, make sure to sign up for their work study so that you can get in front of, some of them require you do it on campus, which now we're all virtual. So a lot of them are being flexible with allowing you to do them off campus. So target those companies that you're wanting your next chapter career to be with, and go to them and say, I'd like to work with you during this time while I'm getting my degree, while you're skilling up, and you'll get to meet everybody. So you got to think differently about the strategy. And sometimes it means taking a step back to take 10 steps forward.
I would also encourage anybody who is going back to school, really research the school that you pick. Be very wary of for-profit colleges. Under President Obama, he went through and the Department of Education was actually, they stopped giving student loans to those colleges with really high default rates. And the reason that's important is because these colleges would say they're training you in IT or they're training you in this field, and the training would not be adequate for you to get a job, and people defaulted on their student loans. There are a lot of snake oil salesmen in for-profit colleges. So choose wisely, actually get the data, do research, check your Better Business Bureau. You don't want to end up with Trump University under another name, having wasted your time, wasted your money. And if you look at student loan default rates, you're more likely to default on a student loan of $10,000 than of $30,000, which I know makes no sense, except that the people with the $10,000 loans usually either did a vocational program. People default on vocational programs at a higher rate than regular four-year schools, which I know is hard to believe, but it's because of those ones that are for profit and don't actually prepare you for a job. The people with the $30,000 in debt generally have a four-year degree, and they finished and they have that degree. So be very careful about where you pick, because Betsy DeVos, open those back up like me opening my birthday present.
By the way, there's still companies that pay tuition. I worked at TIAA CREF in New York, 100% tuition reimbursement. I had no student loans. My second
Wow.
job paid my MBA. You have to look at these companies and their benefits. By the way, my husband works with Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac is always hiring. Look at Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac has a loan forgiveness program, if you will. I think if you work for them a certain amount, I don't know the full details, but they do. A dollar is a dollar. They'll forgive something in a couple of years, work there a couple of years and get some of it forgiven. There are programs like that.
I
Or
can say I advised there at Freddie for a few years, and I thought it was an excellent organization. I had a wonderful time. I was a consultant there in my field, and I just had a really great experience at Freddie. Also worked at Fannie. I think they're both great organizations.
Now, or work for the university direct. So that's how I went to Howard on that lovely remission of tuition. Thank you, Mom.
That's excellent. Yes.
Yeah,
I have a cousin doing medical
I'm
school.
gonna put a shout out there, because there's a lot of college graduates getting ready to come out of school, and my daughter is one of them. So if you guys know any companies out there that are helping these kids get through law school, and they can work for the corporation afterwards, let me,
Buddha. Mary.
because she took her LSATs last week.
Buddha.
Yeah.
Well, the military will pay for certain graduate school programs too. Is something to take a look at. My brother-in-law went to Harvard Medical School, which I'm sharing because he will within 2 seconds. Sorry. And the Navy actually paid for him to go to medical school. So you do have these opportunities. The other thing I would encourage everybody to look at, the federal government is hiring. When President Tung took office, the first thing he did was figure out every job he could cut to make our civil servants basically cut as many jobs as possible. And then he could point and say, hey, State Department's not effective. Well, you're missing all your critical staff. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The federal government will be hiring, and we'll be ramping this up under President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at becoming a civil servant. The majority of civil servants don't work in DC. Lots of
Okay.
virtual jobs all over.
So,
Let
but
me-
Buddha,
Let
I don't
me
think-
please, let me please add to that. Let me please add to what Jamie just said. Very important. New college grads, you getting ready to walk across the stage, okay? You should already have your LinkedIn profiles perfected. You should already have your viable resume. You should be reaching out to people like me. Do not have your mama on a talk show talking about send me information. No, you should be doing that.
And to
You
that
were
earlier point,
You
Go
were
ahead.
born with an iPad in your crib. Use it.
I see you, Mary. I see you, Mary.
That's not your mother's responsibility. Okay?
well, we mentioned it earlier, clean up your
Wait.
social media.
Okay,
No,
here she is.
no,
Here she is, Vanessa.
no helicopter parents allowed. No.
Hi,
Tell the people.
So Soraya and all her friends should be reaching out to me right now. Period.
And Soraya, I want you to reach out to Buddha.
Well,
There-
and also,
yeah.
though,
Reach out to everybody on this show.
use your university career center. I had the pleasure
Yes.
of working at my undergraduate
Alumni.
career center for
You're
10 years.
about to
4
be
years.
an alumni. Use them.
Tell them your
Yes.
LinkedIn is done. And her resume, and her business card that looks like a resume. Tell them.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking
We get on her show and say whatever she wants.
I have to say something about tuition also. There are almost 20 states that you can live in and get free tuition. New York is one of them. I remember when that came out. So you want to look at the states as well where you're resident and see if you can go to state. Go live there. If you have an aunt there, that's your home now. And go to free college.
I love it.
Yeah, so we got that clear.
Very hands on her.
Is that clear?
No, was I clear?
But please do, if you are at a university, use your university career center. I worked at mine for 4 years. I had a job. I helped the students do their resumes. I helped the health career evaluation committee. The school I went to had over 300 pre-meds a year. Not that they were stressed, they were crazy. But use those resources too, because if you can find a job through your on-campus career center, a lot of people don't take advantage of that when they have really powerful resources there to make sure your resume is good. Understanding things like what keywords you want to have on your resume, because the resumes are searched through, particularly at entry-level positions. And Vanessa can speak to this as well. They use semantic search engines now, so it's some great technology, but you still need to have the right words in there, the correct keywords, to make sure the resume shows up in searches for employers. But work with your university career center because they should be really able to help you put your best foot forward and clean up your social media, really.
So I also want to talk to for a second talk to the veterans out there. Okay. One of my largest clients is a veterans organization, and we are now focusing primarily on getting female veterans hired. Okay. And as a part of this effort, they get to work with someone like me who has all of this knowledge and resources in the markets, and they have security clearances. So I want to talk to the 18-year-olds and the kids coming out of college right now. Find out what companies are hiring, mostly federal government contractors, okay, or federal government direct jobs. Get yourself a security clearance. Get yourself a security clearance, all right? You can come out of high school, age 18, get a security clearance, and make $85,000 a year right now, age 18. It's not a joke. All
That
right?
said, you still want to get that degree because you will top out.
You do want, yes, you do still want to get that degree, especially if you are Black or brown in America. You got to do it. That's a fact. All right. Now, if you don't know what a security clearance is from a hole in the wall, you can ask me or you can Google it. All right. But security clearances are so important right now in the job market that people will hire you without even interviewing you if you have a clearance. Anywhere from secret to top secret SCI with a full scope poly. You don't know what that is? Google it.
And look at those federal jobs.
You gotta know all of your options in this pandemic world right now. There's so much out here that's either free, low cost, or you can find it on Google.
And your unemployment benefits.
And get your unemployment benefits.
No,
right.
they will also contribute towards your education if you're getting a credential. So I'm not quite sure if Secret Service is covered, but other credentials are in there.
But the fact of the matter is, veterans most of them are already coming with the tools in their toolboxes. They just gotta have the jobs available and know where to find them. All right.
Speaking of veterans, I did want to just encourage everybody, if you can reach out and help veterans get hired, please do so. I mean, we can all, there's so much, we still have a huge veterans homelessness problem. I mentioned earlier when we were talking, I had the great privilege today of doing a 10K race for Vets on Track, which actually helps address getting our homeless veterans into homes. So that was a lot of fun. Thank you, Bishop Events, for holding that. But if we want to start addressing a lot of the issues with our veterans, one of the best ways to do it is to understand the challenges that they face and make sure that the employment opportunities are there. And there are all sorts of wonderful federal perks if you hire a vet. So look into, won't speak to what they are for individual organizations, but look into how your organization could benefit from hiring veterans.
That's a great way to
Mary,
our conversation.
Mary,
Yes,
we can't hear you.
can't. I don't know what's going on. You still can't hear me?
It's very low.
I don't know. I don't know what, that's weird.
While she's fixing her sound, can we just take a moment to just bask in the fact that we've had normal press conferences recently that are boring? So boring.
I love them. I love them.
You mean one where somebody's not being called an idiot, or you're just a, what was the other names he gave them?
Nasty.
You're just a nasty woman.
Yeah, but late night used to crack me up though. Saturday Night Live. I wonder what that's gonna be like.
Comedians must be so scared right now because we just took away all their material when they shut down.
Unemployment.
Let me see who's going to be on SNL tonight.
No, Mary, it's still.
Somebody else.
Very low, very low.
Somebody else is gonna have to close out because I hadn't touched my computer, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and close out, folks. Thank you to our wonderful guests, Angie Toney and Ms. Buddha Bibarai. Thank you so much for sitting in on our wonderful show tonight. Thank you, Jamie, Mary, and Kim, once again. Great show. I put a lot of notes in the chat, folks. So please go through and read them. Reach out to any of us. We are here as resources for you. Thank you so much, Bernie Sanders, for being with us tonight. We love you, Bernie. We love the mittens. Keep it up. And we will see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.